So this game is called HyperRogue that I'm playing right now, and what it is, it's a roguelike video game, but it's set on a mathematical construct called the hyperbolic plane. So this is different from like normal Euclidean geometry of a flat plane in several ways. You can see that I'm standing on what looks like a sort of a hex grid that shows up in a lot of video games, but interspersed with these hexagons that are stylized in this area are the occasional heptagons, seven-sided polygons. On a normal Euclidean plane, you can't fit two hexagons and a heptagon together. There's too much angle between them. But a hyperbolic space and the hyperbolic plane in particular is non-Euclidean geometry, which has some specific properties. In particular, that the angles of a polygon sum up to well, for triangles less than 180, and for larger polygons less than the number you would get in Euclidean space. So this means that you can fit more and more larger polygons together at angles, and this causes all sorts of interesting properties. First of all, as we go out, there becomes exponentially more space. In a sense, the hyperbolic plane is a lot larger than Euclidean space. You see these walls between between areas in the game. I'll start moving forward them, and you can see that the translations of hyperbolic space don't look as linear or as sort of parallel to each other as those Euclidean space. These are straight lines, even that occurred. The model of the hyperbolic plane that we're looking at in this game is called the Poincare disk model, wherein straight lines are represented as circles that are perpendicular to the disk at the edge of the Poincare disk model. The disk is actually the point at infinity. As we move towards it, the heptagons and hexagons out of that disk get larger as they approach us and get smaller as they go away from us. So the game itself is played by collecting sorts of treasures in various different lands, like roguelikes you may know of. This is the starting land, which is the ice land. And they all have sorts of interesting gimmicks that show off the properties of hyperbolic space. This one is more subtle than the others just because it's the starting area. The gimmick is how heat dissipates in hyperbolic space. As you can see, each cell is listed with its temperature, and as you, the character, move around, you heat up the place around you, and this affects the AI of these wolves, which rather than immediately follow you, always go towards the hottest point next to them. And so basically you kill anything in one hit, but anything will kill you in one hit. However, the game is forgiving in that if you move somewhere where you would get killed, it just doesn't let you do that, and you can only lose the game by sort of checkmating yourself. So what you want to be doing is collecting at least 10 of the treasure item from any given zone. So I've got 14 while I've been talking. As you can see, I've been clicking to show where I'll go next, or direct myself where I'll go next. So we're in a new area now, the cave. And the rules of the cave are sort of like a cellular automaton in that each cell of the floor or of the wall turns into the whatever its majority of its neighbors are, with some specific weights on the gold treasure items. And this is a troll, which when you kill it, it creates wall around itself. In Euclidean space, the properties of this would cause you basically to just get closed in a bubble after you've gone only so far, just statistically. But in hyperbolic space, because there's so much more degrees of freedom, it creates much more tree-like structures, and you're pretty much free to go in lots of directions from any given point. Bit of a hairy situation here. Collecting more items. And we'll look for somewhere else now. You can see the living cave walls sort of rearranging themselves as they spawn in. I want to kill these things before they pile up too much. And there are also orb powers, which give you like different powers. Once you've collected certain enough items in a given zone, they'll spawn. This one lets you walk through living cave walls and has some other properties in different areas. Now we're going to the jungle, where hopefully I will not die. So in the jungle, the things that you encounter are these ivies, which spawn more of themselves around them in a circular pattern, and they'll kill you if they spawn one on top of you, which they aim towards you. So that's hard. And again, if this were in Euclidean space, the whole space would get packed with ivies pretty quickly. However, there's just so much more space in any given direction in hyperbolic space that you can just go, that you're much more free in hyperbolic space. I still have the orb of the earth power, so we're in the desert now, and this is creating sand dunes behind me. The gimmick here are these sandworms, which you can't kill, but they move only at half the speed of regular enemies. And they die if they run into their own tails or get stuck. But because, again, there's so much more directions you can go, this happens much more infrequently than it would if this game were played in Euclidean space. I left the jungle pretty quickly because I'm not very good at it. This is the ocean area, which just has a sea that rises and falls, and boats that you need to be on in order to not get killed by the sea. The ocean isn't here yet. It's probably going to show up pretty quickly. There it is. And while this looks like a circle, it's actually a equidistant curve from that wall I came in through to this place. So the distinctions between circles and lines and circle and line-like curves in hyperbolic space gets kind of diminished. The curve that is equidistant from a line isn't a line itself. What does this do? I haven't gotten one of these before. I guess we'll never know. I imagine it lets me fly in some capacity. And so there are around 30 different kinds of lands that are available to you. Here we have the living fjord, which is like the living sea, but with water. And right now I'm running up next to the land of eternal motion, which allows me to demonstrate some interesting concepts. So here, the ground disappears as you walk under it, and you're pursued by these running dogs, which will try to run up next to you and make you stop or either attack you. But because they have to run along next to you rather than right behind you, they have to stay the same distance away from you. And if you follow a straight line, they can't follow a straight line next to you because straight lines either converge or diverge in the hyperbolic plane rather than stay the same distance away from you. One of the main ways that you can define the hyperbolic plane is to say that there are multiple parallel lines that any line can have. For instance, if we had a lot of these straight lines to the edge of the disk, they would all be mutually parallel to each other, which is something that can't happen that way in Euclidean space. Anyway, so these dogs have to follow equidistant curves along you, which are longer than the lines themselves if you traverse the line by the same amount of distance. And that means that you can outrun them even though they run at the same speed that you do. Unfortunately, if a bird gets in, those can fly over the chasm, and then you run into some problems. So here is an orb of safety, which reloads the game and also lets you save the game. Let's go somewhere else. Here's the Minesweeper area. Again, the degrees of freedom prevent you from getting boxed in. But this is either going to kill me or wind up making me go through it a lot slower. So let's try and get out of here as quickly as we can. And as you can see up in the corner, I've been collecting more treasures and increasing various numbers. This area would also sort of block you off a lot more easily than in Euclidean space as opposed to in hyperbolic space. Let's got these walls that you have to knock through 1 or 2 times in order to get through. And sooner or later,